Alright, so today we're going to be talking about VGBC, who was the subject of my last video about the Smash World Tour and why that sort of fell apart. This is going to be sort of a follow-up to that video, so if you haven't seen that video already, I highly recommend that you do before you watch this one. So in my Smash World Tour video, I came to the conclusion that the health and safety issue that Nintendo brought up was in regards to the lack of security or poor security at several Smash World Tour events like Pound and Double Down, specifically Double Down, because during Ultimate Grand Finals, which is the biggest event of the night, there was absolutely no security. So yeah, that was the main reason they were shut down. Again, I highly recommend that you watch my video first. You can get a full grasp of the situation, the full context of what went down. Now, why am I here now, a month after that video? Well, over on twitter.com, G4, a 3D artist and designer for Moist Esports, posted a DM he received from Gimmer in response to a tweet that he made. Basically, he was live tweeting during the whole Dr. Alan Jacob Wolf interview. He said, "Attendee safety, health, and security are important to Nintendo. At least Double Down didn't have security based on how Technical snuck in twice and propped up that sign when Proto won." I think it's important to note that Tech only snuck in once. So yeah, that was the tweet that G4 made. Now let's see what Gimmer had to say in response to that. "That's a misconception. We had 4 security guards at all times doing bag checks. We went overtime on Sunday, and they left without telling us. We didn't notice, so like the last hour, no one was there." I love how Gimmer opens by saying, "That's a misconception," and then later says, "No one was there." That's a misconception. It's not that we didn't have security, it's that they left. So we didn't have security. Jesus Christ. I was backstage and apparently TO staff didn't notice as well. Security team should have come to me to extend to overtime hours, but they didn't. That's the first time that had ever happened. Wish one of my staff would have noticed, but they just didn't somehow." So just in case there was anyone out there who wasn't convinced by the video footage, here is the co-founder and president of VGBC himself admitting that there was no security during the biggest event at Double Down. And even in a private DM, he still can't take any responsibility or accountability for it. Instead, he blames the security team for not extending their own work hours. This is one of the many key points I want you guys to take away from this. It's not just about the lack of security, it's also about the lack of accountability. Like, it's your tournament. If anything goes wrong there, you have to shoulder some level of responsibility for it, right? Now, this was in a private DM conversation, but when VGBC publicly addressed the situation on November 17th, just 6 days before they got the call from Nintendo, they made no mention of the security team leaving an hour before the end of the event. I'm serious, the word security is not written anywhere in this document. Instead, they chose to shift the focus onto how Technicals ruined their event and how stressful it's been for them. For anyone who's played a sports video game like Madden or 2K, this is VGBC's cheese play. When something bad happens that is entirely your responsibility, instead of putting on your big boy pants and saying, "Yo, my bad G, that's on me bro," simply shift the blame onto someone else. It's really effective, and if done correctly, you can even take out your biggest competitor and leave all of their employees jobless. Like, this was literally your fault, Gimmer. The onus is on you to realize, hey, we're about to go overtime. Let me tell my staff, hey, you guys might need to stay overtime because we're running late. They were running extremely late, by the way. Like, apparently it was 1 in the morning over there. It's wild how there being no security at your event is somehow not your responsibility. Now, what pisses me off on a personal level is that this Gimmer DM was in response to a random Twitter thread made on January 9th. Around this exact same time period, I directly reached out to the Smash World Tour to ask questions, which they initially accepted to answer. Here's the full list of questions I asked, and if you'll notice, one of them reads as follows. Does Smash World Tour believe that the security for their events was sufficient? What measures were taken to ensure the safety of attendees? Should we expect a higher level of security moving forward? To which they replied, to a different person, "Franchise is coming for me." The good old transparency. I love it. This is how you run a company. This is how you respond to questions. So apparently Gimmer felt more than compelled to try and gaslight a random guy on Twitter for even entertaining the notion that there wasn't security at Double Down. But when I directly inquired about the security at past and future VGBC events, I got ghosted. If you didn't want to answer the question, you could have just said no like everyone else, you know, like an adult. But to complain about me for asking you questions things, all while at the same time you're responding to other people, that really pisses me off. And it shows a clear lack of professionalism you wouldn't expect from a respected pillar of the community. And honestly, I'm not surprised Nintendo doesn't want to work with people like you. And it shouldn't surprise anyone else. One of the most ironic parts about this situation is that Moist Esports, Jafor's org, is owned by Charlie and Ludwig, and here's what they had to say about health and safety back when the news first broke.
They said that they didn't meet the criteria for their health and safety regulations, which is so weird. I don't know. It literally means nothing.
And it's the emphasis that Nintendo placed on how Smash World Tour did not cover their health and safety. Health and safety. Interesting. I don't get it. And they won't expand, obviously, because they're kind of just trying to do put it under the rug of a statement.
Yeah, I just think it's funny how the people who pushed the narrative that health and safety was a myth ended up getting debunked by one of their own employees. Let me end this off with a message to VGBC. If you really want to be these pillars of this community, you guys need to start taking accountability for your own actions. It's not Panda's fault. It's not Nintendo's fault. It's not your security details' fault for not extending their own hours. It's not Tech's fault for, I mean, it is his fault for breaking into the tournament, but if you had security, if you did your job, if you were like a properly organized like organization and company, Tech breaking into Double Down wouldn't have been possible. Like I know people want to be like, oh, Technicals is ruining the community. He's like trying to destroy us. All he's doing is pointing out the obvious. You guys are destroying yourselves. And as far as like my stance on the whole burn the community down to the ground, if that's what's necessary to like fix anything, then so be it. I do think this community can be salvaged with the right retooling and rebuilding. I think we can build this community back up. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.
The health and safety of fans at a Smash Bros tournament, like the worst thing that could happen there is someone passes out from extreme odor.